Welcome back to Chumming with the Spirits, your favorite podcast, hopefully, from the Midwest with
Shark Logo.
We got a special guest. I didn't know what I was supposed to call him there for a second. Jason from Strange Paranormal, close friend to all of us. JD, OG, and me, Parachum.
Just drifting in eternity.
So, what was it that we were going to talk about during this fabulous new episode?
Knock on some wood. Let's talk about some superstitions.
Superstitions. Not the song, Superstitious.
No, that's because it's spelled different.
Yeah. So, when you talk about superstitions, I know there's no real defining origin or dates that can be tied to the actual phenomenon. It's more of like it's been around as long as human history has been around, superstitions in general. Would you not agree?
Yeah.
With that? So in regards to, and we discussed this a little bit earlier when we had a snafu with the recording.
They didn't know that until you said it.
Well, you can talk a little bit. You can't necessarily peg it down to a date, but you can talk about why we might be superstitious. It's pattern recognition, really, is what it is. Something good happened, and I recognize this. It's something else happened at the same time that something good happened or bad happened.
Yeah, something bad happened doing that.
And then the next, a year later, the same thing happened. Well, maybe it's a thing.
So
And it becomes a thing,
again, right?
Yeah. Or let's do that again.
So could you not, based on what you were just saying, I had a thought. Could you not tie superstitions in with curses? If you do the repetition wrong, you're now cursed.
A little bit, but a curse is more of a direct action against something.
Okay.
Like you particularly.
But couldn't you say the same thing about superstitions, that it's in a mental state, a direct effect for something?
But that superstition generally works for everybody, as a curse is generally cursed to you or the person that caused the curse.
Or that land. Or
it does depend. Yeah, it does depend a little bit on your definition of a curse. But generally, you are cursed by somebody or something. There are the ideas of curses, like if you worked on a certain movie, like The Exorcist, you're cursed. But that's
Poltergeist.
I guess you could say that they're tangential, but they're not really crossing over in my mind.
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying like full crossover, but they could, in a slight way, correlate or cross.
Parallel.
Yeah.
Not cross paths. Not cross the stream.
I guess you could say that people are now superstitious about working on Exorcist films because the original one was cursed.
Yeah.
But that's just pattern recognition then.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's very fair. I know some of you did some extensive research on particular superstitions. Did one of you want to jump in and kind of journey us down that path? We're all
Okay, well, I can start with one. Well, I can start generally that a lot of superstitions come from religious beliefs, like pointing at people.
Why are you pointing at me?
It's rude to point at people.
Wow.
And that comes from some pagan practices. They point at their god as a way to worship. So Christians saw that and said, well, that's not right. So don't point at people because you are worshiping those people if you
false
believe
deity.
in those ideas. So
don't ever
that's how it got correlated.
Never seen that.
I can tell you in the military version of that is when you point at somebody, you're pointing at one person and 3 back at you. That's why you do the knife hand.
Oh,
That way nothing
that makes sense though, right?
nothing's pointed back
Oh,
at you.
I
Oh, shit.
like that. Yeah.
It's a variation of that.
Interesting.
So, shark hand.
So red doors come from religion as well. That's a form of religion. Most people don't realize, you'll see red doors in all kinds of neighborhoods nowadays, and most people don't know that it's from putting animal blood on the doors to ward off evil spirits.
Well, didn't it originate from one of the
Moses.
what were they called? Plagues. You put the sheep's blood on your door so that your firstborn child.
Well, you're put lamb blood around it, the seal of the door and windows. Because that night, the plagues were called for the king, the Pharaoh of Egypt, to let his people go, meaning the Jews, let him go. He wouldn't do it, and he said, "Man, you're making a mistake," basically. So he went back and said, "Hey, look, we want to protect our children's. This entity, the spirit's going to come and claim all the lives of the firstborn. So make sure you mark your house with the doors to keep that from happening." If that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I have a question for all of you in regards to what both of you just said. So how did it go from a superstition per se, a loosely superstition, I'm using that term loosely, from protecting because a spiritual entity, one of God's things, is coming to take away, to that now is an evil spirit?
I would
You know
say
what I'm saying?
society as a whole has somewhat moved away from it. Plus, we have a lot more access to paint in general, which goes into it's a stylish thing now, because people don't relate to that in the Western culture these days as being. You'll still see some churches with red doors, and maybe the people that put that red door on that church took it from tradition. But most people that have a red door on their house didn't take it from tradition. They did it because they thought, oh, it looked good, or my neighbor has one and I like it.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I thought, that red doesn't look too bad on that house. I would have
Stylish.
never went that way.
Yeah.
So I never put that together. That's what they were doing.
I just realized we probably at some point should cover the plagues by Moses, because there's scientific stuff behind
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Like why the firstborns died versus the other children, and it's a very interesting
Yeah. No, I think they're.
because they can't prove it.
Sure.
But
That would be.
another one that's depending on which way you look at, like salt. When you spill salt, that's supposed to be a bad omen. And depending on if you look at the Roman version or the Catholic version, salt is used to preserve. So it used to be meaning you would give that as a gift for friends, because salt, you preserve meat with it. It's very valuable.
It was a very valuable
But
commodity.
it would preserve things longer.
Right.
It also never goes bad. So when you spilled it, you were to take it and throw it over your shoulder as saying, to get rid of the bad. You made a mistake.
Never thought about that.
On the Christian side, if you look at the 16th chapel painting of the Last Supper, Judah is knocking over a phial of salt, which is to represent he was doing a bad omen, which goes back to because of what he did with the silver and the salt spilling was to represent it was a bad omen that he didn't throw the salt over his shoulder.
I didn't know that story either.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because that's one that I didn't know for a long time. Was like I knew that the
Throwing it over. Yeah, it was good luck.
It was good luck. If you spilled it,
The Jesus reference, I never knew that. The only reference I knew about the Jesus Last Supper was the number 13. He was crucified. There was 12 disciples at the Last Supper, and on the 13th day he was crucified. That's why they think Friday the 13th is a bad day, not counting the Templars and stuff like that. But I had no idea about the knocking over the salt.
So I've seen a lot of people pour salt into their hand and then do it. That wouldn't have, superstitiously, that wouldn't affect anything because they didn't spill it.
Yeah.
If that's true, but not necessarily true, because superstition is an act of belief. So if that person believes they're atoning for it, it would be the same mechanism in my mind.
Like you said, superstitions are rooted into, they've done enough studies that whether or not the act does something outside of that person, it can lower people's anxieties. It can help them with mental clarity.
Right. That's it.
So they're a lot of people, we all, modern day, most people talk bad about superstitions, like wearing the same jersey every time you're
Or you wear the same damn sock, you got that home run, you go wear the socks again, whatever. Yeah.
It is actually a coping mechanism that gives you some semblance of control and lowers your anxiety, even though there may be no correlation to, or maybe there is. I mean, that's
But if it works for you,
pattern recognition, causation, correlation. That's hard to tell the difference. As long as you're
lucky shoes, lucky socks.
As long as your team's winning, why mess with it?
We're not cutting our hair or shaving our beard. I mean, you've seen it on baseball too.
So I have a really random rabbit hole to ask you guys, and
is it superstition?
Yeah, it's superstitions, and this may make me look like an idiot, but I don't care. I don't care. So there's a superstition that if you're on a sailing vessel and dolphins are swimming alongside of you, it's a good omen, right? Do animals have the capacity for superstitious tendencies? Do you think that it's a good superstition and in practice that they're following the ship, because that's not part of their normal what do you call it, behavior?
There are no stupid theories or ideas.
But that one.
No.
They're stupid.
What I'm saying is
That one was really
the pattern of that happening. The humans notice that. I see what you're trying to say. I've seen what you're asking. You're asking if the animal is recognizing something to cause the superstition to happen, but the animal's just acting on nature, which it's in our nature to see that pattern and recognize it and attribute something to it.
Okay, so you're saying
I would think that the animal probably doesn't have a concept of superstition, and the reason it's doing it is not to cause the human to think, oh, is something bigger happening. It's just doing what it's doing.
That's fair.
Except for black cats, I think they do that.
Black cats.
No, it was just a thought I had that
It's just every cat. It's not just a couple.
Well,
it's not just dolphins. Can anything below the mental capacity of a human have superstitious tendencies?
I don't think so. I don't think that's
what separates us.
Pattern recognition. Well, so the pattern recognition and causation, because animals can recognize patterns. Oh, there's a ship. There's some funny looking people on it. They throw fish at us, and now we start showing up. Oh, that's a good omen that there's dolphins around. Well, they're not there because they think it's superstitious. They're either curious or they've been fed before.
They want food.
Or they're having fun. They're making a game of. I used to be in the Navy, so I'm sure you probably saw a lot of that. Every time, like in Scotland, we were on a raft, dolphins were right beside us the whole damn time. When I was in camp,
How was that again?
right by us the whole damn time doing that, right? It was exciting for us, right? And then when in Mexico or in Cancun, we were whale watching around on the raft, and here comes a dolphin swimming next to us. I think that happens a lot.
It does. I mean, well, a lot of people like dolphins, for whatever reason, actually like humans. There are documented cases of dolphins actually saving humans,
as well as killer whales.
Right? For whatever, well, it's like the elephants. Like when elephants see humans, they get the reaction same as we look at puppies. So I think some of that is just natural curiosity of them, of like, wow, how does that hairless thing even survive, let alone be in the water?
I ask
You know?
myself that all
Yeah,
the
well done. Yeah, but from a superstitious standpoint, I don't think so. Because, like, unfortunately, like the rabbit's foot, how is that lucky?
Well, we're looking for the rabbit.
But
no.
it's only the
It is.
right foot, or is it the left foot?
So where that comes from is from trappers would trap a rabbit. When they'd show up, the foot would be there, but the rabbit was
He
gone.
got away, right?
And they're saying that it was a lucky rabbit because it got away, or likely ate by a coyote or a wolf.
Yeah,
But it's,
or bled to death.
yeah, but that's where that came from. That was a lucky rabbit's foot because that rabbit got away. You know, I mean,
Wascally Wabbit.
yeah, well, three-legged rabbit. You know, I mean, how many times can he be lucky? I think he's got 4 chances.
As far as the dolphin thing goes specifically, that came from recognizing most ships during that time, except for the ones that were explorers, they were on set paths across the ocean, back and forth, or to an island, back and forth.
That's
they were
true.
on their course. So they began to realize, well, if the dolphins are here, every other time the dolphins are here, we have fair weather and we make it. If they're not there, we've had bad, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
It could be, oh, well, now I'm seeing jellyfish. That's a bad sign because the last time we saw jellyfish, this happened. So that's probably where the dolphin thing comes from,
Yeah,
because
no, that's, yeah.
they would be traveling the same waters all the time and recognize the patterns of the animals in that environment.
So I have to ask,
No, you don't.
Do you?
Are you sure?
well, I guess not.
Yeah.
I think you should, though, anyway.
How do superstitions play in the development of legends, myths, and lore? In your guys' opinions.
You can call.
So
Well,
take
it depends on the
take-
specific examples of them. I
take
would say.
Homer's The Odyssey, Charybdis. It was known, not Charybdis. This what were the other ones? The
Your little brother.
yeah, the dragon that was on the cliffs with the heads.
The Hydra?
The Hydra. And it was just actually a formation of stones, but the rocks and the water were so choppy that it would get.
So there's an interesting theory on that. So when they go back and look at that, there was known that the whirlpool that was an
Charybdis.
actual-
It was.
Charybdis was a real thing, and what they may
Josh Gates just did an episode on it,
what they think
It's
is
fun.
the Hydra could have been,
the rock formations.
you know, a large octopus or giant squid, because the ships back then weren't that big.
That's true.
You'd have, you know, if it reached up and you attacked one of them, and then more heads would show up. I mean, the stories of Krakens attacking ships started from somewhere. There have been people that have been attacked on small vessels. I mean, the ships we have now that go out to sea are way too massive. But back then, they weren't that big.
No.
When you're talking about a 15-foot schooner compared to a 25-foot,
Like a boat that would have been the size of this room was massive.
yeah, back then. I mean, because it took a lot of labor and time to be able to build that. But they're wondering if a lot of those, like the serpents and the hydras, were actually real things that we just kind of negated over time, like like the story of Moby Dick. Well, their sperm whales,
Dick.
yeah, sperm whales did attack ships. Like
Yeah.
I mean, like if they thought they were threatened,
They were aggressive.
And the white ones are more aggressive because they have to be, because they are constantly under attack by other sea animals. So they seem to be the more vicious animals. So,
but back to the superstitions
let's
thing.
get back to there.
There's like I don't know if you would think of like silver as being a superstitious thing for werewolves. Finding out that it's
Antimicrobial.
Yeah, I mean, weird things like that. Like, well, there was a superstition in a village that if you were sick, you would take dirt from the graves and put it on your pillow.
Yep.
And there was a type of bacteria in there that was an antibacterial. It would actually, and they scientifically proved, because, well, and there's a lot of home remedies that would be considered superstitious, like remedies to rub on your chest Well, a lot of that is actually based, now we know it's based in actual science, but back then it was more of a superstitious, like I'll be honest, a hot toddy, when you have a cold, it does work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, well, there's reasons for that. Well, that was out of superstition.
Dr. Pepper cures everything.
Yep. Yeah. But I mean,
Did not know that.
but that's so superstitious.
You'll thank me later.
when you're looking at that stuff, that they're, we briefly talk about it. There's a causation or correlation. You could correlate to something, doesn't mean it causes it. But like you said, you recognize that pattern. Mm-hmm. And if you do this always seems to happen. There may be an actual direct cause and effect, or it just happens to be the dolphins are there because that's the good time of the year.
And they've gotten food before, like you said. So in regards to what you were just talking about, how past superstitions have now been proven scientifically to have effects that we can quantify and correlate that makes sense.
Some of them.
Some of them. In regards to today, so in today's day and age, right? The people that still believe those superstitions, even though they've been proven scientifically, do superstitions relatively affect weaker-minded people or less informed people?
We're survival of the fittest.
Do you get where I'm trying to go?
Yeah.
Though?
Yeah. Horrible direction, but we get what you're trying to say. No, between survival of the fittest, but also we now know that superstitions and acts like that help reduce anxiety.
Yeah.
Phobias are it is non-rational fears. Mm-hmm. Everybody can have a phobia. There's no reason why anybody at this table should freak out on a spider. There is.
It's called the movie Arachnophobia.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, people, no matter your intelligence level or not, maybe you can talk yourself out of that phobia, but superstitions are the same way.
Yeah.
Like if they give you comfort or reduce anxiety, which I think probably is the biggest benefit of those, like you said, it gives you some sense of control over something that's not controllable, but at least eases your mind enough that you're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
So in that,
Your tension, your anxiety toward
And you may know exactly that there's no way in hell that should work, but you do it anyways because it takes that edge.
it gives you control, right?
Yeah, like a 7-hour drive to Arkansas.
So can there
Absolutely no control over that weather at all.
can there be a fine line of
That's always broad on that one.
can there be a fine line of subconscious aversion to that? So in the form of you can talk yourself out of it, then theoretically you can talk yourself out of OCD tendencies, right? There's got to be a thin line in there somewhere that biologically, neurochemically, a person can't talk themselves out of a superstition or an OCD
You can't.
habit.
We are very trainable. Pavlov proved that.
I'm just asking.
No, but you can retrain yourself on certain things. You can, they're, overcoming certain phobias and fears. The military does it all the time. You'd be surprised.
Brainwashing.
As part of it, you're more susceptible to it at a younger age because your brain's still developing. But you can. That's why repetitive motion, repetitive sayings. Being more positive every day, I'm a good person, I'm a great person, I believe in myself. If you say that every single day,
Is everybody looking at me?
All I was thinking was Saturday Night Live. What's that guy? Phil Hartman did a character.
Yeah,
but
I forgot about that.
You can, with the right tool, literally think your way out. There's a documented case that a guy convinced himself he didn't have dementia. Literally worked his brain around. So that's only one case, but it's our brains are way more adaptive than what most people think.
That's interesting. I hadn't heard about that.
Doesn't help, to be smacked in the head a whole bunch of times. That may slow down some of that development.
It slows down a lot.
OCD and other mental maladies or whatever you would want to call them are one thing, but superstitions might be something you don't want to talk yourself out of.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. Like
not walking under a ladder.
Yeah.
There's a real reason why you should not walk underneath a ladder.
Absolutely.
That's also comes from breaking the Trinity, though. If you walk under a ladder, you break the Trinity. So it's an anti-Christian view to walk under a ladder because it's three sides. You're breaking the Trinity by going under it.
oh,
Or
three
you get hit with a
triangle.
hammer
I see
on
what
Well, that
accident.
too.
Is it-
Someone's going to drop and hit you in the
That's
head. I've been on construction sites. I know how that works. Yeah.
So I mean, there's different parts of that all correlate back together of that superstition. It starts with a religious thing, but there is people are klutzes when you're trying to go up a ladder.
Well, it's a whole different world when you're 20 foot up on a ladder than when you're on the ground working, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we have experience of that from a friend.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. We probably shouldn't.
It's up to you.
So, Jason's close friend,
You don't have to say his name.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, he fell while cutting a tree and died. But he didn't walk under a ladder or anything like that.
No. But what he was saying, being 20 foot up on a ladder is a big difference.
So the changes in these from being religious to non-religious and other stuff like that, and superstitions in general, are very close to a lot of folk tales, like keep your children out of the woods or such and such will get you.
knocking on wood to
Yeah.
say,
So-
letting them know they're not to surprise them.
So, would you consider a
Don't go walking through the ring of mushrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
when did that happen?
Fate traps are
That's a fairy ring.
Oh, I thought you were saying it like one of us had done that. Like we shouldn't have done that. When did I walk through some mushrooms?
I'm pretty sure you have it.
Yeah, I have. So, would you consider superstitions in nature a thing, an entity, or just a thought?
It's a thought, like don't sit in the
Okay,
chair.
so no, I think you know where I'm going to go with this. Could a superstition be a form of a tulpa?
It could. I mean, it could generate enough. Well, I mean, I think we kind of covered that. Technically, to me, Bloody Mary is a superstitious thing.
Yeah.
Because you're doing a ritual to get a result.
What was her name?
But aren't you kind of aren't you trying to summon something though? So how would that be superstitious?
most things cross over to other things. You could call it an egregore, which is a different type of tulpa where the belief in something spreads and it can become a thing in itself and decide to spread itself.
Yep.
Like, for an example that's completely outside of the paranormal realm, take a sports team like the Chiefs. There's so many people that focus on it that the idea itself can become aware and start spreading its own influence around to other people in its own way. That's what an egregore is. It's an entity that's created by a group of people that becomes aware through ritual and focus, a lot like a tulpa would be, and then
Self-propagated.
it can cause things to happen to make other people believe like that. Well, that's where it comes from. Like, if you believe in your team enough, you might be able to affect how well the game goes.
Yeah.
And that's ritualistic. Well, if you can affect how the game goes, if everybody is doing that, you can create something that affects how the game goes. And the way it gets more powerful and the way it could affect things more is to make other people also believe in that. It's the same with superstitions.
Isn't that how cults work?
Well, on a small level, yeah.
But I mean, like the underdog theory, everybody rooting for the underdog. That
Yeah.
The curse of the Bambino.
was a curse, but not a
But
superstition.
but it was superstitious to believe that the curse didn't exist,
I say
to break it.
The goat was a superstitious thing, but
The goat, the greatest of all time.
no, there's literally a goat got kicked out of the stadium. That's part of the curse.
Oh, I didn't hear about that. My bad.
I mean,
When did that
a long
happen?
time ago, like 1925.
Oh, yeah.
Even before my time.
Barely, but
I was about to ask if you remembered it.
Yeah, 41 years before I was born. Just going to throw that out.
Yeah, that's not that far.
that's a blink in the eye. But I mean, there's like we said on superstitions. I think whether they're rooted in religious beliefs or well, technically, I guess some of the stuff with pagan, there's still a religion. The fae, a lot of them were to try to give you protection. Whether that be because if you believed in it enough, maybe it does have an effect.
So,
Because you got the crossing of the fingers, like it's going to bring me home.
But they figured out that when people cross their fingers, it actually reduces pain.
yeah. So,
And also, actually, it really cut you off and cut me off. But that also came from that came from back in Christian days when Christians saw each other and they were Christian. They believed in Christ because Christ was crucified. That's what this was about. Like, hey, Christian, we're fellow Christians.
Because you can never be without a cross. You couldn't take it
You
away.
couldn't wear it because if you did, you would be enslaved by the Romans and killed.
So how do superstitious beliefs transcend religious barriers from one another?
Non-religious people experiencing them.
And then repeating it because they had a positive,
And then another religious person from another sect
picks it up. Or,
sees it and is like, oh,
The thing about it is it's probably organic across everything, and they're just interpreting it on their
On
how
their level.
they want to do it. I mean, there is something to say that
that's a good point.
if somebody doesn't want to be religious, or there's plenty of genocides over the years where they killed off people of certain religions, where a group of people who may have been of a certain religion wanted to change their views, their beliefs publicly, but still follow some of the traditions. They could do that and not have it under their religious banner.
So the reason I asked that is you earlier told me about we're going to go down the path of the number 13, if that's cool with you guys.
Yeah.
So you were mentioning in Norse mythology about the gathering of the 12 gods, and if Loki, the god of
Valhalla,
chaos, the number
yeah.
13. But then you were also saying the 12 disciples, and then the 13 with
The next
Jesus.
day when he was crucified was 13. Yeah.
So
And we also had the Knights Templar.
or it was Friday the 13th.
how does that happen across different?
Well, why
see,
is
then
there-
that means it's not coincidence.
Why is there pyramids all over the world built by different cultures?
And dragons.
Some things just happen.
Good. I like that.
so?
It's pattern recognition.
Yeah, so the number 13 has to have some semblance of mysticism.
Well, I mean, we did an
Throughout
episode
human
on-
history. Does that
on
make
Tesla
sense?
was 369. Damn
Stein.
But it was frequencies, the derivatives of 3, 6, and 9. 13 shows up. 3, Holy Trinity. People think lucky number 7. There's a bunch of stuff that you get into. Some of it's religious, but almost all of it goes back to some religious version of it. But they've morphed over time. United States has a ton of superstitions that were pulled over from European. But like the Appalachians, you put your blinds. You close your blinds at night, and part of that.
Don't whistle in the woods.
Don't talk to the mimic. My wife's gone down that rabbit hole. She's terrified of the
Oh,
idea
shit,
of a
really?
mimic now. Yeah.
But
I got
the deal with I get it. Well,
Yeah.
You don't want to wake up and look and see somebody looking in your window.
That looks like you.
Yeah, or
Talk.
Not again, anyway.
yeah. So that's some of it is a real thing. It's a minor protection, like the iron, the horseshoe
If it's
over threshold.
yeah, as long as it's upside down,
Yeah. So
you can't keep evil in. But if you do this, it gathers at the door. And just like you told me about the welcome mat.
yeah.
Welcome mats are welcoming things to your
I was
home.
from my lighting lady and said, "Welcome, Matt." Was welcoming an evil.
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, technically, we covered that on the Black-Eyed Children with it's a superstition on that you have to invite evil in.
Right.
For it to actually take root, you have to let it. You have to get a consent.
Which is the cause of, hey, I'm accepting evil into my. I'm welcoming the evil into my life. is basically.
So in pattern recognition, and most of what we're talking about, and a lot of the reasons why things have changed away from religious viewpoints on superstitions, is taking the materialistic view on something that may not be materialistic. It's trying to explain something that might be unexplainable. Mm-hmm. It might have a higher purpose, and we're trying to rationalize it in how we view things.
So I directly go to simulation theory. When you talk about that kind of stuff, pattern recognition, putting semblance to it, that could just be a corrupt code.
Yeah, and I think simulation theory could be a real thing. I think it also could be a rationalization in a materialistic way of spiritualist things. Yeah. It could be either way. I think that people that go, there's some people that go really hardcore on the simulation because they don't want to try to explain to themselves the more spiritual aspects of it. But that's just me. It's not that I don't think that could be a thing.
I agree.
It's possible.
Yeah,
plausible.
That is true.
What do you guys think about that?
I don't know. I don't think like that on those kind of simulation code. I just don't do that at all.
Well, I think people have moved. I mean, religion isn't as much as it used to be. It has faded over time, which is good or bad depending on how you look at it. But all those superstitions from that, people still feel something connected to them, so they still do them.
Yeah.
The amount of people that are not religious that are okay with ghosts, or vice versa, religious and they're not okay with ghosts. Where is that?
Or someone have something you can do both.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, a lot of superstitions, reality-wise, reduce anxiety. They are a coping mechanism. Why we do it, you may not know the original origin of that.
It just gives you control, makes you feel like you have control of that situation. If breaking a mirror or stepping on a crack, all that kind of.
Breaking your mama's back.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And some of them are just passed down. Some of them are probably cautionary tales back in the day that have just morphed over. Because, like, knocking on wood, that's a whole deal of. It's not just the knocking of the wood. It was almost like a ritual to let the Fae know, hey, you're coming in. Yeah. You're not supposed to give your name. I'm not trying to do. So that's now you knock on a table for good luck. And the reality was you're knocking on wood to not be attacked.
Notify yourself or them.
Bigfoot knocking on the trees with wood knocks.
That's not
that's a wood stick.
That's to notify them. Don't come in my area, right?
Yeah, I think most of that stuff is more of a warning,
like a communication thing.
Not necessarily. I mean, like, you'll hear them go back and forth, but I think that's more of a. Everybody's letting everybody know, like when a dog howls and then you hear the other howl and then you hear a coyote howl. They're just letting people know.
Communication,
but it's letting people know in the area probably shouldn't be in that area.
Interesting.
It could be Bigfoot summoning something or
I think
doing a ritual.
Maybe they're triangulating with the knocking to figure out where you're at.
I was just trying to figure out Bigfoot is maybe fit. So, that's why.
That's a different story altogether. So, of all things, TikTok, a guy got me. He goes, "Why aren't there dinosaur ghosts?" And one guy goes, "Well, only humans see human ghosts." He goes, "Well, no, but people talk about cats and their love dog." And he goes,
their love dog?
Yeah, their love dog.
The love dog.
Yeah. They were talking about, maybe dinosaurs only haunt chickens and birds. But then I was like, well,
dinosaurs die.
Yeah.
So,
but
maybe there's an expiration on the spirit.
Oh,
that's 65 million years ago.
Or
damn, what deep.
That's the forest spirits that people warn about. What if that was a Tyrannosaurus Rex?
I'm trying to think. Are you telling me dinosaurs didn't exist or something like that?
I'm just saying that, like, they were a creature. There could be residue left over. That there could be, like, we always assume Bigfoot. Native Americans believed in multiple spirits in the forest. Some were tricksters. Some took on animal forms, but they could be spiritual. They could be things. Well, we've talked about non-human entities. Never really thought about dinosaurs. that's a non-human entity that would be, 65 million years.
They became the reptilians.
Could be.
Or maybe they didn't exist.
I have a fun superstition that I found right before recording that is non-religious. Carrying a bride over the threshold.
Yeah.
Where would you think that would come from?
Give me a second.
They keep her in the kitchen. I'm kidding.
Close,
No.
actually.
To signify that she's now your property.
That is one theory. That the two basic main ideas of where that probably came from was one, it was someone forcing the woman to be their bride, and it was a signal of dominance.
Yeah, she's mine now.
Because that's
Yeah.
what cavemen did. They would drag the women to their caves.
And then the other one is
Carrying upstairs.
showing the new wives that they're not in charge anymore. That's where the two main thoughts of where that actually came
That's
from.
interesting.
Yeah, that's absolutely not true.
I just figured
They are still in
What
charge.
did you carry your wife across the threshold?
No, but
She carried him across.
she's going to be upstairs. I can tell you that.
But, maybe that's also the form of sweeping a woman off her feet. So she's
Oh,
Sure.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a
always
good one.
taken care of by carrying her into a house that you
Yeah.
would carry her through.
So-
time.
That's good.
Yeah.
Look up, see where the superstition of spreading the rice
During the wedding?
during a wedding came
Actually, I could look that up in my book that I have, but
Right.
that
from.
would
I've
take
never
a few
understood
minutes.
that one. That one just never
Let me
made
grab
any
that.
sense to me.
Because this book has all
The bouquet of flowers actually goes back to European times. When
Yeah.
they didn't take showers very often.
Mhm.
That's why weddings generally were in springs. So generally, you take a bath maybe once to twice a year, springtime, and then one time, and that's where the bouquet of flowers came in. And why people got married in spring, because it was close to when they had bathed.
Well,
Because soap was rare, because it's
Yeah.
animal fat. You're using either animal fat to cook with or to clean with. Most people want to eat.
just recently has come about of the wearing a white dress
Yeah.
during weddings. It was always black or brown or a dark color.
Well, black they couldn't afford. I mean, that was a very expensive color to have.
No, not back in the day. White was expensive.
Brown was the norm.
Normal. Yeah.
Yeah,
Black was the
purple
elite.
and blue didn't exist.
No.
Purple was extremely rare.
yeah.
White was a very rare
was like-
because generally you couldn't keep it clean. I mean, that was
Right.
Yeah.
modern day.
And we hadn't developed bleach yet to
Well,
bleach.
yeah, it was urine. They used urine.
But turned everything yellow.
Yeah, it turned yellow.
No, there's something you can do with the urine to make
You have to
clean it.
Yeah, you have to eventually you get the ammonia out of it. And,
I'm not sure how the whole process
The
works.
custom derived from the ancient pagan rite of showering the happy couple with grain.
oh, grains of rice.
And it's it's been rice. Traditionally, it was called confetti, which comes from the Italian word confectionery. It refers to sweet meats, a recollection of the time when nuts and sugared almonds were thrown at the bride and groom.
I bet I heard it.
Throw your nuts at her.
I guess we should talk a little bit about the difference between tradition and superstition, because
No,
I
that's
wouldn't say that that's necessarily a superstitious
I agree.
thing to do.
Well, I think superstition, I think like when we're talking about the ladder or black cat crossing your back or breaking a mirror, stuff like that.
Not seeing your bride before the wedding day in the bridal dress. That's
Yeah.
a superstition.
It
That's
is.
not. They talk it about to me.
But wouldn't you?
It could be a tradition, but most of the time they say, or like if it rains on your wedding day.
But you could also say that it's a tradition not to walk under ladders, right?
It's just
That's not the same, I would say.
Yeah, I think you're off in left field.
That's what I do best.
Most people would say
So-
not to pee in the pool, but
Always is, but it's okay.
that's more of a tradition.
And to really get to
So, how would you? What line would you draw to separate the two?
A threshold.
As we all stop and look at the guy walking down the sidewalk.
Sorry about that, people.
That was not a ghost. That was literally a guy walking down the street.
That was not an orb going across the room.
That was funny.
We were please say it later.
So you're saying there is a very definitive line that separates the two.
I would say it's probably the origin of it.
Yeah, because like you said, I mean, the not seeing the bride on the wedding day is both.
Partly tradition, but there is a superstition. But I would think where the difference between tradition and superstition is there a bad outcome if you don't do it?
Yeah.
Or
I would say that it was probably a superstition, or sorry, probably a tradition first, even if it was short. And then people thought of it as a superstition over time from the effects of it, from either seeing the bride or not.
That's fair. I like that.
That's good.
So to wrap this up, what superstition, let's just go down the line, do each of you find that is just
Horrific?
no, just weird,
Oh, weird.
off the wall?
We'll go with you. What's yours?
So, God damn, I wasn't expecting that.
He's waiting to listen to us.
Get an
I
idea.
was hoping I'd have a little time to think about it. I would say the biggest superstition that I think is weird is never stare into the eyes of a cat because it'll steal your soul.
It's only because you're allergic to them and have it.
Well, no, but
They're evil. Yeah, I've heard you say that on a podcast. Or,
well, that's
and they're soulless.
besides the part.
Except that's, they're known to be with witches because they would eat the rodents to keep them from getting the.
But you've heard that superstition before, right?
There's been movies about that
Yeah,
superstition.
Constantine.
Anyways,
He stares into the eyes of the cat to go to hell.
because it's a dual plane creature that lives in both the.
The light and the dark.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, gee, what's your?
what was my favorite, or the one I just think?
Just favorite.
Honestly, you're gonna probably laugh at me because I'm an Italian here, but throwing the salt behind my back, I just think that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I don't get it. It doesn't cute, and I smell salt. Oh well, I don't. You know what I do? I wipe it up.
That's why your stuff gets hacked.
Pocket sand and just throw it at pizza.
Yeah, just to me, you spilled it. Clean it up. Yeah, don't throw more on the ground.
And then just see OG walking down the street, passing someone, all of a sudden, a superstition, and then runs off.
So mine is more of a modern one that got disproved. Stranger Danger from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a reason why they don't teach it anymore.
'Cause it doesn't
Stranger
work.
Danger was taught when we were kids that don't accept candy from strangers. If you don't know, yell out their name. The reality of it is you're 90% more likely to be abducted by somebody your family knows.
Yep.
Or be, bad things happen to you. And I was thinking about that as we're sitting here. I'm like, but technically that was a superstition.
Yeah. If it's your time, it's your time.
Yeah. Well, it's
That's how I look at it.
people were so worried about somebody they didn't know walking up, and then and all of a sudden that doesn't get taught anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of there's some other ones.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Mine is that gingers do not have souls.
They
That's
collect others.
They do.
I'm not gonna lie. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah. It comes from an Anglo-Saxon and English invading forces from the tribal people that had red hair,
Irish.
other tribes and stuff. So, but yeah, maybe they don't have souls. I don't know.
That's a good one. So thank you for watching. Let us know what some of your favorite superstitions are, or if we missed any that you think we should have talked about. Be sure to go check out on Facebook Jason's Strange Paranormal page, his Woodlife page that is focused on outdoors bushcrafting. It's pretty interesting stuff. He holds events throughout the year to teach people how to do certain things. Also, go check out, if you haven't already, Drunken Cryptids podcast.
You're not going to mention the Paracon KC.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was saying the Paracon KC is still an active website.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you could come to my you could come to my Midwest Bushcraft Show events to learn how to fight off those redheaded invaders.
A nice time. That's
Yeah.
a nice callback.
And to learn how not to whistle in the woods.
Yeah. Well, you guys are probably going to be at my
Yeah,
next
yep.
Midwest Bushcraft Show event.
Yep.
Bushcraft and Bluegrass and Halloween.
Yeah, we're gonna be there. But also check.
Found out about it, so I'm ready for some information. We can talk about it after this. So go ahead, close this out.
So we talked about Drunk Encrypted. Look them up. Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Myth Monsters and Mullets, Darkwoods Paranormal. Also on all the same channels. Ghost Gossip.
Children,
Yeah,
Cryptids of the Corn.
that one.
Yeah,
That Cryptids of the Corn.
Not Children of the Corn. Children. I think Children of the Cryptids.
That's Cryptids of the Corn.
That's a pretty good one.
His children are children of the corn.
Paranormal. Brian Goddard.
Nevermore Hollows.
Nevermore Hollows. We are building a very large group of podcast friends that we greatly enjoy doing collaborations with them, talking with them, getting ideas.
And if you're looking for someone to help with digital marketing, editing, or anything like that, please look up someone that has been helping us these past few months. Caitlin Ann Sears Design. Phenomenal designer.
Good kid.
Good
Adult. Redid our logo.
But yeah, be sure to go like and subscribe. And until next time, see you.